Hi, this is Carlos Susuna. I'll be presenting my learning environment on the World Expo, more specifically the Student Ambassador Program. This presentation will discuss the online training for American students who were chosen to be student ambassadors. In the past, training for these students has taken place 100% on the ground. This was the first time in which students received online training prior to their on-the-ground orientation. For this presentation, we will discuss an overview of the structure of the virtual classroom. We will begin by defining the learners, discussing how we use CourseSites as a learning management system, as well as a brief explanation how Facebook enhanced learning in an online environment, and we'll conclude with some closing remarks. 114 student ambassadors were chosen out of about 1,000 applicants from a very targeted national pool of colleges and universities, and with a student body that represented many geographic and diverse backgrounds. The preference was given to applicants who demonstrated previous leadership experience, fluency in one or more foreign languages, and were very familiar with the Italian culture, as well as demonstrated their passion for the World Expo's theme. The student ambassador function included hosting corporate and government VIPs, United States Pavilion visitors, acting as the primary information resource for the visitors. The online orientation began in March 2015 and ran for approximately 1 month, during which the students completed 3 different modules within the CourseSites. So CourseSites is a free version of Blackboard and was chosen because it was very similar to Blackboard, which would most likely be a familiar platform for a lot of these students because they came from college background. And as well as it did not require enrollment in any particular program or university for students to access this content. The course content was prepared and developed by faculty members and instructional designers at the USC Marshall, including myself, working with partnership and subject matters within the United States Pavilion team and the U.S. State Department. Due to the time constraint on the site training, it was suggested that students receive an online pre-training orientation to just familiarize themselves with the core knowledge and introduce them to some of the higher level skills that would be required of them as the student ambassadors. The online training was designed to include 3 critical components, and we broke it down to 3 different modules. For Module 1, an interactive experiential platform, Cultural Detective, was chosen to teach intercultural communication skills and to build students' cultural competency in preparing them to interact with different diverse group of people. Students had the opportunity to experience different intercultural communication scenarios through this online platform. For Module 2, this was focused on introducing the United States Pavilion, wherein students were introduced to a physical layout of the structure. For Module 3, an overview of the code and conduct to which the students would be held accountable, including there was some specific on do's and don'ts in communicating with guests, as well as proper attire and some behaviors. Having this type of learning environment contributed to the learning as students were able to set up their own schedule. We also provided a suggested schedule since many of the students were still in school. So by providing them a suggested schedule would help them set up their own schedule. The exercises included doing some readings, written assignments, multiple choice or fill in the blank questions, and just really giving the opportunity to reflect upon their learning that took place within that exercises. The students' scores were recorded as a measure of completion, but not counted as grades. Unlike CourseSites platform, in order to improve engagement and retention rates to provide students with an informal support system, we created a closed Facebook group. In this closed Facebook group, students had access to one another, including staff and faculty members, which this Facebook group really used and enhanced their learning and improved communication. The Facebook group became a community space where the students felt a sense of belonging and were encouraged to seek one another for support and a safe place to ask any type of questions. Students posted introduction, pictures, questions, pretty much anything that you could think of. And the cool thing about it was that staff and students supported each other and answered each other questions. In terms of our program, Learning Design Technology program, This will be a level 1 evaluation. One of the key things that we found interesting when examining the raw data from our initial pre and post online training was that students had a greater self-efficacy after completing the online training. The survey on student motivation reveals that whereas the initial motivation pretty much stayed the same, students did report increased confidence and knowledge necessary to perform the functions of their role as a student ambassador. In general terms, it is important to note that these learners are millennials and they tend to be very comfortable with online spaces. But for the majority of the students, they reported that they felt that the online program was effective in preparing them for the student ambassador role. This concludes the end of my presentation. I hope you found it interesting and insightful. Thanks for watching.